Some of the key stuff that you need to get out of this project is basically, one of the things is using a Pathfinder palette. The Pathfinder palette is so useful for breaking apart elements and getting pieces and parts out that you might need to work with. It can be a time saver, especially when later we get to actually starting to vectorize raster images. Like these characters that you guys make for this project are from scratch. But hopefully by learning some good techniques from the get-go with this is going to aid you better. And again, one of the things I do see some students doing, instead of building complete closed shapes, it's not as effective to just make individual line segments with the pencil tool. It is always going to be better to instead of just making single line segments like so, and it's fine to draw with the pencil tool, but eventually you're going to get the best effect if you use the pen tool to either draw all your elements or use it to close those elements up, because you just can do so much more with a closed vector shape rather than just a line segment. But the last stage of this is outputting these as images, and out of Illustrator there are a couple of ways to output these as images, but I find the best way to do it is just to use the instead of doing a save as, actually use save for web. And the real best benefit of using save for web is that it's going to give you a preview of what that resulting image is going to look like. And the best file type I suggest to do for this, or the one I want you to do for this, is actually a PNG. Probably the file type you're most familiar with is going to be a JPEG. Always realize that a JPEG is a lossy file type, L-O-S-S-Y. That means it's always going to get rid of colors. It's always going to get rid of resolution to try to be as lightweight and small as possible, versus a PNG, which is a lossless file type. It's always going to keep the colors that you assign to it, and it's always going to keep a larger file size. But also one of the other properties of a PNG is a transparency. When you're outputting from Illustrator, for what we're doing in this project, do output it with a transparency. That's so useful when we start to take images into other environments. It's such a big time saver. Once I save this out with a transparency, I can go to other environments like Photoshop, PowerPoint, Flash, all sorts of environments. But I want to show you how you need to do this from Illustrator. So let me cancel this, because the result of what you do is going to be based on your artboard. So you should, for each of your characters, have an artboard. If you haven't generated an artboard for each one of them, your artboard tool is right here. You can control all of your artboards from right there. Right now, Morgan set this up. Of course, she's got 5 artboards here, and we don't really have to output this one here at the top. But the thing is, when you output these PNGs, you want them to not really have a lot of extra space around them. So you can either make your characters bigger, or you can just make the artboard smaller. So I'm just going to adjust the artboard. So for example, artboard 2 here, I'm just going to get it real cuddly, as if we're going to ship this little critter off to Botswana or somewhere for credits or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to adjust all of these artboards so I don't really have a lot of excess space around them. Doing graphics is always about doing compositing, compositing various images together. So it makes it a little bit easier to grab objects if you don't have just whoops, went a little bit too far right there. And one more, this guy. And whenever you go to the artboard tool to get out of this mode, you can just hit escape or just click any tool over here, and you go back to your normal working screen. Now, you have to do these one by one, so I'm going to do this guy first. Illustrator is going to do the object that you have selected. So I have this little, what is that, 5 legs? What is that, pentapod? A pentapod. He's got 5 legs, so it will select him first when I go to File, Save for Web. Whoops, no it didn't. Let's see. Let me click off first and try that again. Normally it's going to do the one that you had last selected. Maybe the artboard. Oh, I never noticed that ever before in my entire young life. So, okay. So, let me do this then, just for case in point. Then click off. Okay, I never noticed that before, that it does that. It remembers that. So, thank you. That's good. So, let's go back here, Save for Web. And it does have that guy. And again now, when I'm in this sub-screen mode here to Save for Web, my transition or view hotkeys still work. Control- will zoom it back so I can see the entire image. And Control-0 will just make it centered. And again, we're going to output this as a highest quality PNG with the transparency. Right now, that's set up to export a image that's 540 wide by 509 tall in terms of pixels. And I want to see, I think that could be a little bit better, you know, the resolution of that right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and increase that. And do make sure your proportions are locked. If they weren't locked, it would look like that, but if you keep it locked, it'll stay the same. So that bounced out of screen, so I'm going to hit Control-0 to center it again. And then I'm going to zoom in again, and that looks a whole lot cleaner. You know, you don't want to, you know, use your time and create low-res graphics. I mean, otherwise you're going to have to go back and recreate them. So, I mean, this is a safe range in the 1500 range. So I'm going to output that one, and I'm just going to save a couple of these, just 2 of these, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to submit them. So now I want to do this guy here, so I'm going to use the artboard tool, then go to Save for Web. I'm going to hit Control-0 so I can see all of them, make sure none of them's hanging off the edges. I'm going to bump it up by 1,000. Just put a 1 in front of it. Then I'm going to hit Save. And let's call this guy number 2. Okay, and of course you guys, you're going to go ahead and finish with the other ones and export all of them. But let me show you how I want you to place these on the artboard. I'm sorry, on Blackboard. On Blackboard, I've got a brand new forum. It's called your Vector Farm PNGs. And what you need to do, just like before with your working documents, this time let's consider this your final output graphics. So I'm just going to create a thread and just call it a test post. Whoops, post. That works fine too. And normally you would just insert the file or attach it here, but I actually want you guys to insert it instead of just attaching it. So the icon you look for is this little icon for an image here. And so I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to browse on my desktop for those 2 files. You have to do them one by one. And it's in there, so I'm going to insert that. You can just tell it OK when you see this message. And then my cursor's blinking over there. And oh yeah, if you don't see these controls, that means that the you're not able to see it. So hit that downward pointing arrow, and that'll show you the rest of the controls. So again, my cursor's already blinking over there, so I'm going to go back to my insert tool and browse for this fella. Insert him, and then submit him. So when you do finish with your critters, that's the way that I want you guys to submit them. Don't just attach them, actually insert them. So that makes it a lot quicker for us to see them and everything.